A cold-hearted billionaire throws the most vicious prank of his life, inviting the black cleaner who scrubs his floors to his ultra-exclusive gala, expecting her to show up in rags and become the laughingstock of New York's elite. What he never saw coming was the moment she walked through those golden doors and turned his entire world upside down forever. Alexander Harrington stands at the top of his empire, 35 years old, worth hundreds of millions, married to Victoria, a woman whose beauty matches her emptiness. Their marriage is a contract, photo ops, red carpets, and separate bedrooms. He's spent years chasing thrills through secret affairs that always leave him colder than before. Deep down he knows something is missing, but pride won't let him admit it. Every morning the same quiet woman enters his penthouse at 6 a.m. Elena Thompson, 28, black, single mother, invisible to him except when he needs the coffee table wiped again. She moves like a shadow, polite, efficient, never complaining. He doesn't know her daughter Lily is fighting a heart condition that drains every spare dollar. He doesn't know Elena once dreamed of designing dresses that could make women feel powerful. He doesn't know anything about her because he never looked. One afternoon, surrounded by his equally arrogant friends, Alexander laughs at their latest cruel idea. Why don't we invite the help to the gala? Someone sneers. Imagine the cleaner in a cheap dress among diamonds. The room erupts in laughter. Alexander's eyes light up with malice. Brilliant. He writes the invitation himself. Gold envelope, black ink, you are cordially invited, come as you are. He seals it, smirking, already picturing the humiliation. The envelope arrives at Elena's tiny one-bedroom apartment in Harlem. She stares at it for a long time. Lily, 5 years old, climbs onto her lap asking what the shiny paper is. Elena reads the words and feels the familiar sting of being seen as less than. She's heard the whispers her whole life, too black, too poor, too ambitious for someone like her. This time something snaps. She looks at Lily's hopeful eyes and whispers, they think we're nothing. Let's show them everything. That night Elena pulls out her old sketchbook. Pages filled with gowns she designed years ago, bold, elegant, rooted in her Nigerian heritage. She counts her savings. It's supposed to be for Lily's next specialist appointment. She hesitates, then decides, some things are worth more than money. She rents a sewing machine, buys discounted silk and gold thread, and begins working after Lily falls asleep. Her fingers bleed, her back aches, but every stitch feels like revenge and hope braided together. Alexander's life keeps spinning in its usual hollow orbit. Victoria complains about the guest list. He nods absently. Another fling ends in tears and accusations. He drinks more. Late at night he stares out over the city, feeling nothing. He tells himself the prank will be funny. A harmless joke. Power feels good, right? Elena's best friend Maria stops by one evening and finds her surrounded by fabric. Girl, you're really doing this? Elena nods, eyes fierce. They invited me to laugh. I'm going to make them choke on their laughter. Maria hugs her tight. Then be unforgettable. Days blur into nights. Elena learns to walk in borrowed heels, practices holding her head high in the mirror, repeats affirmations until they feel true. Lily draws a picture of her mother in a red dress with a crown. You're gonna be the prettiest, mommy. Elena cries silently after her daughter falls asleep. The night of the gala arrives. Alexander stands in his custom tuxedo, greeting guests, actors, politicians, influencers dripping in jewels. He leans toward his friends and whispers, any minute. Now, the cleaner is coming. They snicker, champagne glasses raised. Then the double doors open. Silence crashes over the room like a wave. A woman enters alone. Red silk flows around her like liquid fire. Gold embroidery catches every light. Her hair is swept into an elegant updo, diamond pins borrowed from Maria's mother glinting. Her makeup is flawless, bold lips, glowing skin, eyes that command attention. She walks slowly, shoulders back, chin up, as if she owns the marble beneath her feet. Every head turns. Alexander freezes. His glass almost slips from his fingers. He doesn't recognize her at first. Then she smiles, small, knowing, dangerous. Elena, he breathes. She stops a few feet away, voice calm and velvet. Good evening, Mr. Harrington. Thank you for the invitation. The room explodes in whispers. Phones come out, cameras flash. The joke has detonated in the opposite direction. Alexander feels heat crawl up his neck. His friends stare, mouths open. Victoria narrows her eyes from across the room. Elena doesn't wait for permission. She glides through the crowd. People part for her instinctively. She speaks to a famous designer about textile techniques, laughs with a senator's wife about African art, accepts compliments with graceful humility. Everyone wants to know who she is. No one believes she's just the cleaner. Alexander can't look away. He watches her laugh, watches the way light dances on her skin, watches how people are drawn to her warmth like moths. For the first time in years he feels something sharp and unfamiliar, shame mixed with hunger. He finally approaches her near the balcony. I didn't expect. You didn't expect me to show up looking like this. She finishes, eyebrow raised. Or you didn't expect me to show up at all. He swallows. I was wrong. Yes, she says simply. You were. She turns to leave, but he touches her arm lightly. Dance with me, please. She studies him for a long moment. Then she places her hand in his. The orchestra begins a slow waltz. He pulls her close. Her perfume, jasmine and something uniquely her, fills his lungs. His hand rests on the small of her back and he feels her heartbeat through the silk. You're shaking, she whispers. I'm terrified, he admits. I've never been this terrified in my life. She looks up at him. Good, you should be. They sway in silence for several minutes. The world disappears. Then she speaks again, voice low. I almost stayed home tonight. I almost let you win. But Lily believes I'm a queen. So tonight, I decided to believe it too. Alexander's throat tightens. You are. She searches his face. Then why did you try to humiliate me? Because I'm an idiot, he says, voice raw. Because I thought power was making someone else small. I was wrong about everything. A tear slips down her cheek. She doesn't wipe it away. The song ends. Applause ripples through the room, but neither of them moves. Victoria storms over, face twisted. Alexander, what is this? Elena steps back gracefully. I believe your wife is looking for you, Mr. Harrington. She walks away, leaving him standing alone in the center of his own gala, heart hammering, world tilted on its axis. As midnight approaches, the DJ announces a special dedication. Someone, anonymous, has requested a song for the woman who reminded us all what real elegance looks like. The opening notes of Nina Simone's Feeling Good fill the air. Elena stands near the exit, about to leave. The entire room turns to watch her. She smiles, slow, radiant, victorious. And in that single heartbeat, Alexander Harrington knows two things with absolute certainty. He's falling in love. The rain lashes the streets like it's trying to wash away the night's humiliation. Elena sits in the back of the cab, soaked gown clinging to her skin, tears mixing with mascara. The driver keeps glancing in the rearview mirror but says nothing. She clutches her clutch bag like a shield, replaying the moment the drunk guest shouted across the ballroom, "Wait, that's the cleaner." Harrington's little joke just walked in like she owns the place. Laughter had erupted. She'd frozen, then fled. Back in her apartment, she peels off the ruined silk, wraps herself in an old robe, and curls up beside Lily's bed. The little girl stirs, sleepy voice asking, "Mommy, did you have fun at the fancy party?" Elena forces a smile. It was something, baby. Go back to sleep. But sleep won't come for either of them. A pounding on the door jolts her upright. It's past 1 a.m. She tiptoes to the peephole. Alexander Harrington, tuxedo-drenched, hair plastered to his forehead, looking like a man who's been hit by his own conscience. She opens the door just a crack. What do you want? Let me in, please. 5 minutes. You've had enough of my time tonight. I'm begging, Elena. Something in his voice, raw, broken, makes her step aside. He enters dripping, leaving puddles on the worn carpet. She hands him a towel without a word. He dries his face, looks around the small living room. Toys scattered, medical bills on the table, a half-finished sewing project in the corner. I'm sorry, he starts. Not just for tonight. For everything. For every time I walked past you like you didn't exist. For thinking a joke like that was funny. I was cruel because I'm empty. And seeing you tonight, it hurt because you're everything I'm not. Elena crosses her arms. You think an apology fixes this? No, I know it doesn't, but I needed to say it before you disappear from my life forever. Silence stretches. Rain drums the window. Finally she speaks. My husband used to say real men don't need to tear others down to feel tall. He was the last person who ever really saw me. Then he died, and I learned how invisible I could become. Tonight you reminded me of that lesson. So thank you. Now leave. He doesn't move. I can't. Not yet. She laughs bitterly. Why? You want to finish the punchline? No, I want to tell you I'm getting a divorce. Her eyes widen. Victoria and it's been over for years. We're a brand, not a marriage. I've cheated because I was chasing feeling, any feeling. Nothing stuck. Until tonight. Until you looked at me like I was worth something and like I was nothing at the same time. That's when I realized I want to be worth something. To someone who matters. Elena shakes her head. Don't make this about me. I'm not your redemption story. I'm not asking you to be. I'm just asking you to let me prove I can change. Starting right now. Lily's small voice floats from the bedroom. Mommy. Elena goes to her daughter, returns carrying the sleepy child. Lily blinks at the stranger in the living room. Who's that? Alexander kneels to her level. I'm Alexander. I work with your mommy. I was mean earlier. I'm sorry. Lily studies him seriously. You made mommy cry. Yes. And I hate myself for it. Lily reaches out, pats his wet cheek. It's okay. Mommy says everyone gets second chances if they really mean it. Alina's throat tightens. Alexander looks up at her. Can I stay until the rain stops? Just to talk. No games. No jokes. Against every instinct, she nods. They sit on the worn couch, Lily asleep between them. He tells her about his childhood, absent parents, boarding schools, learning early that love was transactional. She tells him about losing her husband, the hospital nights, the fear that never quite leaves when your child has a fragile heart. They talk until the rain slows to a drizzle, then stops. When dawn creeps in, he stands. I'll go, but I meant every word. If you ever want to talk again, I'll be waiting. Not as your boss, just as a man who finally sees you. He leaves. Elena watches him disappear down the stairwell, heart pounding with something she refuses to name. Days pass. Alexander files for divorce. Tabloids explode. Victoria fights dirty, leaking stories about his affairs. Friends distance themselves. His boardroom feels colder, but every morning he looks at the empty penthouse and thinks of Elena's quiet strength. Elena launches her online boutique. Photos from the gala go viral, hashtags like #cleaner to queen trend. Orders flood in. She works late, pays the latest hospital bill, buys Lily new shoes. She tells herself she's fine. She tells herself she's not thinking about him. Then one afternoon a courier arrives with a package. Inside, a check for Lily's next 6 months of treatment, anonymous. A note attached. Not pity. Respect. She calls him that night. Why? She demands. Because you deserve to breathe. Because I can't fix what I did, but I can make sure you're not carrying everything alone. She's quiet for a long time. I don't trust you yet. I know. I'll earn it. However long it takes. They start small. Coffee in a park. Walks with Lily. He brings books, reads to her daughter while Elena watches, heart softening against her will. He listens when she talks about designs. He never pushes. Never demands. One evening, after a long day, they sit on a bench overlooking the city. Lily's asleep on his lap. Elena looks at him. You're different. I'm trying to be. She takes his hand. Don't stop. Months later the divorce is final. Scandals fade. Alexander sells half his shares, invests in ethical ventures. Elena's brand grows, runway shows, magazine covers. They keep their relationship quiet, sacred. One spring afternoon in Central Park, cherry blossoms falling like soft pink snow, Alexander stops walking. He pulls a small box from his pocket. I was going to wait for the perfect moment, he says, voice shaking. But every moment with you feels perfect. Elena Thompson, you walked into my life as a joke I didn't deserve. You stayed as the miracle I never earned. Marry me, not because I need saving, but because I want to spend every day trying to be worthy of you. Tears spill down her cheeks. She laughs through them. You already are. She says yes. Their wedding is small, intimate, Harlem church, Nigerian drummers, Lily scattering petals, Maria crying in the front row. Elena wears her own design, ivory silk with gold threads that catch the light like stars. Alexander can't stop staring. Years later, Lily's heart is strong. Elena's name is on billboards. Alexander runs a foundation that funds scholarships for single mothers. They have a son with his father's eyes and his mother's smile. Every anniversary they return to that gala ballroom, now rented just for them. They dance to the same waltz, her head on his chest. You surprised me, he whispers. You surprised yourself, she replies. And in that quiet moment, the billionaire who once thought power was humiliation understands the greatest truth of all: real love doesn't lift you above others. It kneels down, sees the person everyone else ignored, and says, I see you. And I'm never looking away again.